Good afternoon. I've got a 2008 Chevy Suburban 2500 here, and one day on a trip about an hour and a half away from home, about halfway there, I've got this high temp AC off warning on my dash, you know, on the air code. And so I immediately looked down and saw that my temperature gauge was completely off. It wasn't showing any readings. So I immediately thought, looks like I'm really low on coolant. I must have a leak or something like that. I went ahead and popped the hood when I pulled over, and then I checked the level on my water, and it was just a little bit low. And I cracked this slightly, and not a lot of pressure came out. So it didn't feel like the car was overheated. I was able to pull this off very slowly. I couldn't feel any pressure on it. I pulled it off, and then I added some additional antifreeze to bring it up to the upper level there. And I also just felt the engine. Felt my upper hose. It wasn't too hot. All right, I could feel around the engine. The engine didn't seem excessively warm. It wasn't acting strange. It was working fine. And so I jumped back in the vehicle and then decided to ride a little bit further and go maybe 10 miles down the road and see if it continued to have that problem. And it did. It kept coming on. I pulled over one more time, checked all the fluids. It wasn't overheating, so I thought I'd just fix it in the morning. I was going on a trip in a couple days. I really need to get this thing fixed, so I just started thinking what could cause a problem. I went on the internet. There was many different things that could cause it. You know, low coolant. Could be that coolant's not recirculating through the system. It could be a water pump or something like that, but I could feel the water kind of going through. It looked like it was circulating and the engine was staying cool, so I thought it's got to be a temperature sensor. So the next day I thought, well, let me look at this truck. There was a time where its engine cut out on me one day after I first bought the used truck, and it was because there was a wire here that was touching the frame in this wire loom. Actually, there was no loom, it was just wires. So I thought, wonder if there could be anything going on right there. Let me check to see where this temperature sensor is. And sure enough, it was right there beside this wire loom. And when I pulled it away, I immediately saw that on the connector, I've got it disconnected right now because I was showing you the fault. Right there on that temperature connector, the wire was broken. I went around to several different Napas, Advanced Autos, AutoZones. No one had this part in stock, so I just went ahead and ordered it on Amazon. Overnight shipped it to myself, replaced it. Here's the new one I replaced. It's a Dorman connector, you know, and I just used the connectors they gave me with it. It's just two wires. Plugged it in, restarted the vehicle to make sure that went away. So I got that plugged all the way back in. That's what it looks like now. The part was only like, I don't know, maybe $10 or something like that. Ordered it online, got it shipped directly to me, and now I can start the vehicle. And I don't get the air anymore. No, of course you're seeing the hood's open right now because I have the hood open. And I've got this tire sensor I need to replace sometime soon. Almost every vehicle I see has that same error on it. You do have an engine light on after you replace that sensor connector. Then you can just use one of these code readers like this one right here. You just basically plug it in into this connector that's right there. Then you'll need to shut your engine off and then just turn your key on to this position to sync your Bluetooth to that device. So make sure you turn your Bluetooth on, and I have this OBD Torque Lite application here, and you have to let it sync up. And on this one, I hit this gearbox here, and I'm just going to have it show fault codes and show logged fault codes, and let's see what it comes up with. This one's saying it's got a fault of P0118, and that one's the engine coolant temperature circuit high input. So that's because the wire was broken, or for my situation, for showing this to you again, it's because I disconnected and had the engine running. So I'm just going to go ahead and click this button again down at the bottom, and then I'm going to go fault codes, and then clear logged faults. I'm going to say okay, and it's going to clear my faults. And if I were to go back in here again and say fault codes, show fault codes, it's going to show there's none left. See, it didn't show that there are any available. And then the last thing I can do is just, then let's start the engine. I'll verify that there's no check engine light on. The other thing you can do is just disconnect your battery for a few minutes, and that should clear out on your faults too. I haven't done that on this vehicle to be sure, but in the past that's what I've been able to do. My AC is working just fine right now. It's blowing out cool air. So everything is back to normal after that quick fix. And I was able to go down to our family trip pulling the camper all along the way. One good thing that kind of came out of it was during my time where I couldn't test my temperature of my engine, I did set the reading on the dash to read what my transmission temperature was. It's getting hot. What would my temperature become on my transmission? Definitely did not want that to overheat. Didn't want my engine to overheat, but the engine didn't feel like it was. And I was going to be pulling a big camper, so I wanted a kind of a base reading. And I think it went up to like 125 degrees on that on a regular basis. When I pulled the camper, it was running around 150 degrees temperature, pulling a 32-foot trailer all the way down to Tennessee. So hopefully it's helpful to you. Thought I'd do a quick video on this and recap what I did. I didn't record during that time because I was just busy trying to get things working and get the truck up and running. So I hope that helps you again. Give me a thumbs up, and thanks for watching.